So this is a video for Integrated 1. This is the review notes on graphing lines. Okay, so this is review of graphing lines. And I'm going to go through a couple of different examples depending on what our situation is. So our first situation, let's say we are dealing with slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equal mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So what happens is I'm going to go through two examples of ones in slope-intercept form and explain how to graph them. So our first example, let's say that example 1 is y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 3. And let's say our second example is y is equal to 3/5 x minus 4. So what we're going to do first is first thing we're going to be doing is let me first get a XY axis. So let me just kind of sketch that out here. And I'm just going to copy this and paste one over here. Okay. So when we're graphing this, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our y-intercept. Okay, our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So I am going to go to 3, 1, 2, 3 on the y-axis. And then I'm going to be using the slope. Okay, this slope, this negative 1/3 is going to tell me how I'm moving. So if my slope, I'm going to jot it down here. If my slope is negative 1/3, what that means we're going to do, have your negative or positive, depending on what your fraction is, go with your numerator where you're going up if it's positive and down if it's negative. So since this is a -1, we're going to go down 1. And then whatever the bottom number is, we're going to go right that number. So right 3. So we are going to be starting at 3, going down 1, right 1, 2, 3. Okay. And that's where I'm going to be putting that point. Then I'm going to connect this with a line. And there you go. There's our graph. Now on the second one, my y-intercept is this -4. So I'm going to start down at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, that's my y-intercept. And then when I'm thinking of my slope, okay, my slope in this case is going to be 3/5. And so when I'm doing that and I'm thinking of my slope, in this case, my slope is a positive 3/5. So since it's positive, I'm going to go up 3. And then again, what the bottom number is, we're going to go right. So we're going to go right 5. So I am going to be starting here at my y-intercept of -4, and I'm going to be going up 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4. And just make that a bigger dot. And then I'm going to connect. I'm going to make that a little fatter. And that's going to be my line. Now, sometimes it's going to be just x equal a number or y equal a number. So we need to make sure we understand how to do those. So for these next two examples, let's say, for example, 3, we have x is equal to 2. And for example, 4, we have y is equal to -3. So when I graph this, get a second one here. What I need to pay attention to is the fact that I want to graph where x is 2. Now, x is 2 here at 2, 0, but x is 2 here at 2, 1, and 2, 2, and 2, 3, and 2, 4. So what you see we end up getting is we get a vertical line going through where x is equal to 2. So this right here is our line x is equal to 2. It's going to be a vertical line. All x equals are vertical lines. Now, when I'm dealing with y equals something, so my y is -3 here at 0, -3, but this is 1, -3, and 2, -3, and over here is going to be -3, -3. So you see that I end up with a horizontal line. So I'm going to have a horizontal line starting here where y is equal to -3. Move it down a tad. And so this is y is equal to -3, and this is a horizontal line. So we've talked about vertical lines which are x equal, horizontal lines which are y equal, lines that are in the slope-intercept form, y equal mx plus b. And then we're going to talk about ones that are in what we call standard form. So let me just add an extra page. And for this one, when we're talking about standard form is where your x and y are on the same side. So ax plus by equals c. From this, you cannot identify your slope or your y-intercept. So I'm going to go through one example, and I'm going to work this out 2 different ways. So this is going to be example 5. And again, I'm going to work it out 2 different ways. So this equation is going to be 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Okay. And what I'm going to do for this is, since this is not in the form I want, I'm going to get y equal. That's what I want. Okay, I want to get it into slope-intercept form. So let me just rewrite this equation here. So I have a 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. When I do this, the very first thing I'm going to do is minus 2x from both sides. So I'm going to get a positive 3y is equal to, and I'm going to write it this way. I'm going to put my negative 2x first and then my plus 6. Next, I want to get my y totally by itself. So I divide this by 3, and I'm going to divide each of these separately by 3. And so my equation is going to be y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 2. So this is what I'm going to be graphing. Okay. So let me get my graph. So for this, again, I'm going to start with my y-intercept because this is now in slope-intercept form. And my y-intercept is a positive 2. And then my slope is equal to a negative 2/3. Since this is negative, I'm going to go down 2 and right 3. So I'm going to go down to 1, 2, and right 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to connect this. With a line. And there's our line. Now, that was me getting it into Y form and then getting it into, and when I say Y form, the form that this is slope intercept form, okay? Like the very first problem. Well, let me say I rewrite this example. So I'm going to say, or you can find the x and y intercepts. And I'm going to call that the cover-up method. So I'm going to rewrite the equation. I'm going to be using the same equation. So 2x, let me just shrink it down so I can see it. So 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the x-intercept and I'm going to try to find the y-intercept. So in order to find the x-intercept, I am going to put 0 for y. So I'm going to get 2x plus 3 times 0 is equal to 6. Now, what's going to happen is this term right here is going to become 0. So you can think about covering that up because that's going to become 0. And we get left with 2x is equal to 6. So up here originally, I could have just thought about this 3y being gone because I'm covering it up. And what am I left with that's not highlighted? 2x is equal to 6. And so when I solve this, I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I get x equal 3. Now what this is my x-intercept. So now I'm going to do the same thing for my y-intercept. But this time, I'm going to be putting 0 in for my x to find my y. So I'm putting 0 in for my x. So again, when we're doing this, if I am thinking about that being covered up, because that's going to just become a 0, what am I left with? I'm left with 3y is equal to negative 6. Divide both sides by 3, and I get a negative 2. And that is going to be our y-intercept. Oh, sorry, it wasn't a negative 6. I changed it. It was just 6. I don't know why I put a negative. So it was 2x plus 3y equals 6. So I'm going to have 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 6. So 3y is equal to 6. When I divide by 3, I get y is equal to 2, and that's going to be our y-intercept. So now what I can do is I can graph and plot because I only need 2 points for a line, my x-intercept and my y-intercept. So I'm going to graph my x-intercept. So let's say this is our x-intercept. So I'm going to plot my x-intercept, which is 3. So I got a point right there. Then I am going to plot my y-intercept, which is 2. So my y-intercept is 2. And then I can connect these lines. And when I do, I end up getting my line. And you see that these two lines are exactly the same. So you can, when it's in standard form, get it into slope-intercept form by making it y equal and then plotting it using the y-intercept and the slope. Or you can use the cover-up method and find your x and y intercept. Both of them are going to give you the same result. So hopefully this helps you with tonight's homework, which is on graphing lines.